What if the things you think make you more likable, checking in, explaining yourself, agreeing to keep the peace, are actually the reason people lose interest? Nobody decides one morning to become less attractive to be around. It's not a decision. It's a drift. Small habits, repeated so often they stop feeling like habits, they just feel like you. I did all 5 of the things in this video. Not once or twice for years. And every time someone's energy shifted, or someone who seemed interested suddenly went quiet, I told myself it was them, or timing, or bad luck. It almost never was. Here's the uncomfortable part. None of these 5 things feel wrong while you're doing them. They feel responsible, considerate, even kind. That's exactly what makes them so hard to catch. Let's go through all 5. Mistake 1. Over-explaining yourself. Picture this. You say something simple, then immediately follow it with 3 sentences defending why you said it. You cancel a plan, then send a paragraph justifying it unprompted, before anyone even asked. I did this constantly, and I called it being communicative. It wasn't. Here's the psychology. When you actually feel secure in a decision, you don't need to build a case for it. You say it, and you let it stand. But when you're anxious about how you're landing, you keep talking, adding context, adding footnotes, like you're on trial and need to win the room over. The other person can't always name what they're sensing, but they feel it. Anxious energy is contagious, even through text. So here's the shift. Say the thing. Stop there. Let it sit. The people worth your time don't need the footnotes, they need the sentence. But over-explaining isn't the only way anxiety leaks out. It also shows up somewhere you check obsessively, your phone. Mistake 2, the follow-up text. One message, no reply. Then a follow-up. Then a different angle. Maybe a voice note, just to check if they saw it. I've sent all of these sometimes within the same hour. I told myself I was showing I cared. What I was actually showing was that I couldn't sit with uncertainty. The follow-up text isn't really about them, it's about your discomfort with silence, and the need to resolve it immediately. And here's the quiet signal that sends. If you can't tolerate waiting for a text back, what happens when real life gets uncertain? People notice that pattern, even subconsciously. Sitting in silence without rushing to fix it is one of the most underrated skills in any connection. Send the message, then actually put the phone down. Now, texting habits are one thing, but there's a deeper pattern underneath it. What happens when you actually disagree with someone? Mistake 3, shrinking your opinions to avoid friction. Someone says something you don't agree with. Instead of saying so, you nod. You reframe their point to sound more reasonable than you actually think it is. Conflict feels risky, so agreement feels like the safe move. I did this for years, and it never made anyone more drawn to me. It made me forgettable. Now, to be fair, and this matters, not all friction is good. There's a difference between having a genuine, honestly held opinion and picking pointless arguments to seem interesting. Manufactured friction reads as exhausting, not confident. Nobody's saying, be difficult on purpose. The actual shift is smaller than that. When something matters to you, say so calmly, without needing to win. I actually see it differently, and here's why. Changes a conversation completely. Not because it creates conflict, but because it shows there's an actual person in there with real opinions, not just someone managing the room. That's not about becoming harder to get along with. It's about being real enough that people can tell the difference between you and background noise. Speaking of managing the room, there's a version of this that's even more draining, and it usually gets mistaken for empathy. Mistake 4, making their mood your job. They seem a little quiet. You immediately start replaying everything you said, hunting for what you did wrong. Their energy shifts, and your whole state shifts with it, before anything is even confirmed to be a problem. I used to think this was empathy. It's not. Real empathy notices someone's mood and gives them room to feel it. What I was doing instead was absorbing their mood and trying to manage it, which is draining for both people, not comforting. When you're so tuned into someone else's emotional state that you lose track of your own, you stop being a person in the relationship and start being a mirror. And nobody feels pulled toward a mirror. You can care about someone deeply without treating their mood as whether you personally have to control. Last one, and this is the one that quietly undoes all the progress from the other 4. Mistake 5, treating interest like a deadline. The moment something starts feeling real with someone, there's an urge to lock it in, get confirmation, define it, make sure it's official before it can slip away. So you push. You try to establish exactly where things stand, before the moments even had room to breathe. Every time I did this, I could feel the energy go flat immediately. It wasn't romantic, it was fear wearing a romantic costume. Treating a connection like a limited time offer puts pressure on it, and pressure makes people close up, not lean in. The connections that actually last aren't rushed into a corner and confirmed on schedule. They're allowed to unfold. Being genuinely okay with something building slowly, not needing it defined today, tells the other person you trust the process. And people are drawn toward whoever seems calm enough to let something real develop without gripping it too tight. Every one of these 5 comes from the exact same root, the quiet belief that who you are, without the over-explaining, the double text, the constant calibrating, isn't enough on its own. And here's the trap. The more you act from that belief, the more you prove it right, because the behavior itself is what pushes people away. Then your brain says, see? I knew it. The loop feeds itself. You don't break it by doing more. You break it by doing less, by trusting yourself enough to just be still, and believing the right people will stay without you working overtime to guarantee it. If this hits something real for you, subscribe, there's more of this every week. And I want to hear it. Which of these 5 is the one you're guilty of? Drop it in the comments.
Oh, hi.